Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I wasn't going to make a video about this. I wasn't going to talk about this, but with all that is going on, I just felt like I need to say my piece. And I actually just want to take the time to say that going forward, I don't want my channel to be solely surrounded on commentary. I actually want to push it to more to a different thing. I actually want to kind of rebrand my channel just a little bit, but I just felt like I really needed to talk about this because this conversation has been stretched out. So it's basically about, as you can tell by the title, the Gayle King, Snoop Dogg, Jada Pinkett Smith, Red Table Talk, Kobe Bryant situation. And honestly, I've had a lot to say about this. I've seen other people's reviews on it, and I just felt like I needed to say my piece. Now, granted, when I first heard about this, I actually was thinking a lot of people were getting on Gayle King about her asking questions in an interview with Lisa Leslie about, Kobe Bryant, and she brought up, the situation of his rape allegations back in 2002. Now, I was very young in 2002, so I wasn't too caught up or keen on the situation at hand. I honestly remember hearing that like in pop culture references, like in Family Guy and stuff like that. So a lot of people really, you have people who forgot about the situation when the case was dismissed or he was found innocent, and that was never talked about. But then after his death, it was being brought up. Now, I first have to say this. A lot of people were very upset at Gayle King. They were coming after her. They were threatening her. They said her apology was very dry, and she kind of shifted the blame onto CBS, and I definitely feel that was kind of a deflection. But I have to say that I would not be surprised that if there were people kind of pulling the strings and telling her to ask these questions that they themselves feel and they themselves were going to ask, and just used her to do it. Now, aside from that, a lot of people are getting on Gayle King as well as they got on Oprah Winfrey for making the documentaries about Michael Jackson. And to be honest, I don't believe Michael Jackson even did it. I believe that Wade Robson, they were definitely lying to get a check and get some money, and they were trying to siphon money out of Michael Jackson, but that's beside the point. I will say this. In the case of Gayle King, I do believe that her asking that question at that time was too soon because the man wasn't even bare yet. But let's just be honest, that question was going to be asked. Okay, Gayle King was not the first person I saw bring up those that rape allegation thing. I don't believe that it should overshadow his legacy. I do not believe that, and like Chrissy said, if you guys are true Kobe Bryant fans, stans, fanatics, lovers, and you believe he's a legend, it's never going to be a good time to ask that question. But unfortunately, as Charles Barkley said, okay, say what you want about Charles Barkley, but it's another person and another black man that said, unfortunately, that part is a part of his history, okay? Unfortunately. And Gayle King, like I said, Gayle King was not the first person to bring that up, okay? And let's just be clear. I personally feel like one of the main reasons people are going hard at her, especially Snoop Dogg, is because she is a black woman. I notice this community definitely goes harder on black women, especially with their criticism, than they do black men. And I'm going to tell you why. So it seems like we're going to go hard against Gayle and Oprah for, some of the things they do. And yes, I don't agree with what Gayle did necessarily. I don't always agree with how Gayle and Oprah does things necessarily. But I have to say this. Where is that same energy for all the black men who do wrong by us, especially when we expose that, okay? Now, granted, I personally believe that guy, Joe, who was, I guess, on Morning Joe trying to say, oh, you came after a black female journalist. First of all, I guarantee he doesn't care about her being a black female journalist. Like Lovely T said, that sounds very agenda driven, and he was definitely milking it too much, and I wasn't really feeling that. But I will say this, even Al Sharpton said that, yeah, you know what, it's kind of wrong how Snoop Dogg came after her, practically threatening her life and things like that. And getting to Snoop Dogg, I definitely don't believe that Snoop Dogg is apologizing because he means it. I think he's apologizing because, like Lovely T said and like Chrissy said, Susan Rice came after him and said we have an army backing him up, and he has his pockets being affected with his show with Martha Stewart. Any other time, he would not have backtracked. This man does not backtrack when he cheated on his wife. This man did not come to the defense of his dark-skinned daughter who was complaining about colorism, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But he sits on Red Table Talk, and from the clip that I saw, I didn't see the full thing, so judge me here, but the clip that I saw, he was getting all teary-eyed, and I think Jada Pinkett Smith was doing a little bit too much. I'm not going to lie, but I'm saying he was getting all teary-eyed and smothering, but this is a guy who was a gangster. Remember, he was a Crip. He talks all tough, but because the big white corporate backings for his show, comes at him, he's like, now I have to go on this hobo tour and apologize. Same thing with T.I., because a lot of people weren't feeling it, and honestly, him and T.I. and some of these other fake woke people in this community who always feel the need to speak out against something when they feel affected, they're just a bunch of mush mouths to me. It's really annoying, honestly. And it's one of the reasons I backed out of this so-called woke pro-black movement, like I said in my previous videos, okay? Now, in terms of Gayle King, I do believe that although the question wasn't going to be asked, I do believe that, yes, it was too soon to ask that question. It was really too soon. But it's funny how we can attack Gayle King, especially other black women, which is why I think black women, unfortunately, don't take this the wrong way, but black women who jumped in on the Let's Get Gayle King bandwagon and criticized Gayle King and Oprah bandwagon, I think you're pretty dumb, because where is all this same energy for us when we're attacked? Okay? So we're jumping to the defense of black men, and sometimes for black men who don't marry us, who don't mess with us like that, okay? But here and still, we're agreeing with Snoop Dogg, saying, I even see in Lovely T's comment section on her recent video that, oh, Gayle King or Snoop Dogg, you didn't say anything wrong. You shouldn't have to apologize. But I'm saying, what you mean he doesn't have to apologize? So I get the whole, don't let people make you backtrack in what you say. And like Lovely T said, hey, stand 10 toes down and, don't stand in your ish and don't hold back and don't backtrack and, give in to society pressure and, corporate backing. But let's just be real, honestly. T, what I've said this before and I'll say this again. Lovely T, not everybody is the YouTuber who has nothing to lose or little to nothing to lose, okay? I understand the whole, stand in what you say and stand 10 toes down, but not everybody can do that. Not everybody, again, is the YouTuber who can just stand 10 toes down in their ish. Not everybody is like UT. Not everybody can be like UT. And I understand, you can understand someone who is more real if they stand in what they say, especially if it's a check that they can cash, but not everyone is like that. Not everybody can be like that. So even though, like what you said with the Mario Lopez situation, I get it. And honestly, I don't think he said anything too wrong because he wasn't malicious at all. I just said that he was on the wrong platform. Had he been on The View, it may have played out a little bit differently. However, I will say this. Not everyone is like UT. Not everyone has something to lose. Not everyone is, corporate backed with something to lose. And to be honest, like I said with Gayle King, maybe there were other people who wanted to ask that question, but they used Gayle King as the mouthpiece and the face, because they felt like it will be safer. But let's just be honest. I will say this with Gayle King and Oprah Winfrey. Yes, keep that same energy with the Harvey Weinsteins and the Charlie Roses of the world. But let's just be honest. Harvey Weinstein's people are taking care of him. Okay? Let's stop acting like Harvey Weinstein wasn't being called out. When we heard the whole Harvey Weinstein situation, he was expelled from all these, big groups and, boards and stuff in Hollywood. He's being taken care of. Hopefully he goes to jail, because I really did not like the whole thing about them putting him in a mental facility at Rikers. Speaking of which, I heard that they're breaking that up and splitting it, but that's beside the point. I really did not like that. I do agree they're like a different set of rules for, white folks and white people and white males in Hollywood versus people of color. I will say that. So it makes sense that, keep that same energy, because, you were all hugged up with Harvey Weinstein and now you're crickets and separating yourselves from them. But I heard everybody knew or low key knew, or it was more of an open secret. So I will agree with Gayle and with Oprah, keep the same energy with Harvey Weinstein. But let's be real. people complaining about why Gayle and Oprah are only coming after, black men, but not Harvey Weinstein, I feel like you definitely are missing the point, because Harvey Weinstein's people are taking care of him. And maybe Gayle and Oprah cannot talk about Harvey Weinstein without consequences the same way they can talk about like a Russell Simmons or a Bill Cosby or an R. Kelly. And let's just be honest. I guarantee black people, we kind of knew certain things were going on with R. Kelly and we let it slide. So to be honest, if it's anything, it's kind of our fault too. Now, I was pretty young when this whole thing came around with R. Kelly, so I was pretty much oblivious and unaware of it and not too deep into it. But the adults, you knew something, and a lot of you, especially with these so-called new victims, you knew something and you let it slide, especially when that money was coming in. So let's stop acting like we don't play a part in that as well, okay? So all this criticizing of Oprah about coming after all the black men and only the black men, let's stop acting like not exposing these black men who are doing wrong by us is not coming at our expense. I'm gonna need us to stop that right now. And it seems like, and like Chrissy said, yes, black men really have a loyalty mostly to other black men. So you mentioned Kobe, you're mentioning and calling out Gayle King for asking one question. Now, granted, I will say this. When she asked that one question, and if she would have left it there, I wouldn't have seen the problem with it. But only when she kind of pushed it, that's when I felt like there was more to it. And she was kind of going in to try to get, Lisa Leslie to say something or, things like that, or say something, I guess, negative about him. You know what I'm saying? Now, I appreciate Lisa Leslie for keeping her cool and being, cool, calm, and collected and answering very eloquently and, being very neutral about it. I applaud her for that. But I want to say this. Let's just be honest. This is not to tear down Kobe. This is not to, come at his legacy. This is not to tear down his legacy or tarnish his legacy, because I don't believe this one flaw that he has is going to tarnish that, especially for real Kobe supporters and fans. But let's just be honest. Kobe was the same one that said that he wasn't obligated to defend Trayvon Martin or to quickly defend Trayvon Martin or come to the defense of Trayvon Martin because he was black. And remember, Kobe Bryant didn't mostly live around black people. Remember, he's not married to a black woman. And I'm not saying that that is a problem. I'm just saying that look at the correlation. And notice that most of the people that I've seen on his, most of the girls I've seen on his basketball team were not black, other than his daughter, who's biracial, but still, Kobe Bryant kind of immersed himself in a different culture. So, he could speak Spanish, Italian, and all that stuff. And nothing's wrong with that. I'm just saying, look how he kind of moved. Remember, this man said he was not obligated to jump to the defense of Trayvon Martin just because he was African American. Now, I wonder if a black woman had said that, the black community would speak such vitriol, come at her with such vitriol towards her. Look at what we did to Cashapp Michelle. All she did was perform. Now, granted, she had her little hiccups because she was speaking a little bit to All Lives Matter movement, and that was, at the time, that wasn't good, okay? But all she did was perform, and here and still, we're calling her everything but a child of God. And look at how many excuses we're giving to Kanye, okay? When black women do something, say something, don't act in a way that the black community wants them to act in, for some reason, we're like that person on Crystal and Karis' page said, one false move with us and it's off with our heads. But for some reason, we give black men 10 million and one chances. So this is why I think, I did not defend Snoop Dogg. This is why I don't agree with what Gayle did or how she did it, but I definitely am not jumping on the let's attack Gayle King bandwagon. And what about Charlie Rose and, Harvey Weinstein, when I know their people are taking care of them, okay? Maybe not to the extent that they're taking care of a Bill Cosby, and I want that same energy to be kept, but let's just be honest. Come on now. She asked one question. She pushed it, which was a problem, but she only asked one question. And let's just be honest, all this fake support for Lisa Leslie is BS, because like Chrissy said, any other day you would not be running to the defense of Lisa Leslie. You're using Lisa Leslie as a spectacle. I noticed that after that interview, I saw posts practically left and right about how Lisa Leslie scored 101 points in her high school basketball game. When were you guys posting about that? When were people and where were people posting about that before this interview? So let's just be honest. The support for Lisa Leslie is fake. It's fake selective outrage, and it's fake support, fake selective support. And honestly, it's because they kind of look at Lisa Leslie as a mule for the community that they feel like she's some type of hero. And Chrissy made a good point. This is why I agree. I did not immediately jump on the Let's Get Gayle King bandwagon because I saw that 5-minute interview in its entirety. A lot of you will see the clip on Instagram and make your judgment. I went and I saw the full thing. And to be honest, yes, the only problem was she pushed it. But that one question, if she had asked that one question and left it there, you could have dug deep and say she was reaching, she was trifling, she was this, she was that. And that dry apology that she gave about, kind of shifting the blame to the CBS network, yeah, it did not sit well with me. But to be honest, I'm not jumping on the Let's Get Gayle King bandwagon. I don't think that any black woman should, because where any other time are we getting that defense when we're attacked, when our legacy is attacked? I even saw in a comments section that said, God forbid Serena Williams were to die tomorrow. God forbid that she were to be gone tomorrow. It will be some black men who bashed her in the past, present, and probably future, that will say, well, she married a white man. So, I mean, she almost died in the hospital. And she said, well, your rich white husband couldn't protect you. Like, see what I mean? So there's really no collective protection and same energy kept for us. So, and this is the same man. This is why I didn't believe that. This is why I'm not agreeing with Snoop Dogg. Okay. I understand he's upset and he has every right to be upset. But this man constantly cheats on his wife. This man has not stood up for his dark-skinned daughter or created like a platform or media outlet to help his dark-skinned daughter when she was complaining about colorism. Okay, he didn't, come after the bullies. He didn't make a statement saying, I'm gonna come after everyone who attacked my dark-skinned daughter, who attacked my daughter, who was colorist towards my daughter. So to be honest, all these people coming after Gayle King especially black women. I think black women should really set this one out and sit this one out. Just like you did ASAP Rocky and Nick Cannon and stuff, you should sit this one out. And the only reason, like I said, that Snoop Dogg apologized is because Susan Rice came after him and because his pockets probably got affected. Now, granted, again, Kobe Bryant's legacy, I feel like that one incident and hiccup he had in his past, that should not, or hopefully will not, tarnish his legacy. And I'm not trying to tarnish it. And the way I look at that case, from what I have heard and what I've read up on, it seems like that girl, they said it was a white girl, but I've never seen the actual picture or face, or I don't think the race was ever identified. But most likely it probably is a white girl. But to be honest, the way I look at it, I just personally think this girl, slept with Kobe, wanted to sleep with Kobe, maybe he fucked her rough or something like that. She didn't get what she wanted, or he wasn't going to be with her. She couldn't get that bag, and then she cried rape. But then again, I heard that they dismissed the case because the girl, the so-called victim or the accuser, refused to testify. And the way I look at it, maybe, just maybe, I'm assuming because at the time Kobe was the golden boy, so they probably didn't want to lose their cash cow, so they probably just paid her off or something like that. But that's just my little conspiracy theory. I don't know too much of what happened because I was very young at the time. Okay, I was under the age of 10 in 2002, okay? So don't feel free to take my word for it. But I believe it's tragic how he died. He's definitely gone too soon. But I'm telling you, don't get mad at Gayle King. Don't keep throwing shots at Gayle King. You may not agree with everything she does. I don't necessarily agree with everything she does, but let's just be honest. There have been a lot of other black celebrities who have said and done worse, and we still give them free passes. But the minute a black woman does something in the slightest that we don't like, or says something in the slightest that we don't like, we're going to cancel her forever, or seemingly forever. So this is why I forgave Cashapp Michelle, and this is why I'm not jumping in on the whole Let's Get Gayle King bandwagon, because I feel like the outrage is selective, and I feel like the outrage is, fake, and all these fake woke people. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. Okay. And I also noticed this. It's the same thing. The situations of Snoop Dogg and, T.I. and The Game, after Nipsey Hussle died and Kodak Black came after, tried to make a pass at Lauren London. Now, Lovely T said, oh, Kodak Black has been attacking dark-skinned women for minutes, for a long time. But now that he came after Lauren London, oh, now everybody's up in arms and they want to, threaten to pull his music off the radio and cancel him for good. No, T, here's where you messed up slightly. It had more to do with Nipsey Hussle than it did Lauren London. Because if he came after Lauren London, let's say if Nipsey was still alive and, they had broken up or something like that, I don't think they really would care that much. It's because of Nipsey Hussle, not Lauren London. But I understand where you were coming from just a little bit. But that's what I'm saying. There seems to be only a loyalty from the Black community towards other Black men, and they expect us to do the same. But that same loyalty is not being given towards us, collectively, at least. So for, just like Terry Crews said, the only person he has to impress is his wife. Remember that? So I don't believe we should be bashing Kobe or coming after Kobe or, but let's not come after Gayle King either. Sit this one out, Black women, because any other day they would not be coming to your defense, collectively at least. Where were the collective of Snoop Dogg's and T.I.'s coming to the defense of Lupita Nyong'o when Gilbert Arenas was saying she only looks good with the lights off? Where was the defense of Black males coming to the defense of Ari Lennox? And this is why I think Ari Lennox was dumb, okay? This is why I really think Ari Lennox is dumb. Not because I don't like her, not that I mean to call her dumb, but I'm saying, girl, you were just crying a few weeks ago before this situation about how you were being compared to a Rottweiler by another Black man. And then you have certain Black women and Black men jumping in on that. Where was Snoop Dogg to help you? Where were all the collective of Black men coming to your defense? But you want to sit here and call them kale and okra. I mean, that was kind of funny, but still, you know how much of a mule and a pick-me you look? And I'm not trying to bash the collective of Black men. I'm just trying to say, where's the collective for us? And then they wonder why Black women are now divesting slowly but surely from this community. Where I see comments saying the worst of the worst, and I don't even agree with all of them, but I understand why they're so upset and why they're like, you know what, I'm out of this so-called pro-Black movement because it's really just pro-Black straight cisgender men, and this is why Black straight cisgender men get called the white people of Black people. So if you ask me, it's not about bashing. Sometimes it's about, you know what, I tried, I was here for this, but I look how I'm treated. And the way I started seeing things, I'm like, wait, these people, these are the people I'm supposed to be fighting for? Because at one point I was so, where Ari Lennox was. I was so, for the movement, for the community. But what I realized is now I'm only for the like-minded people. At this point, I am more pro-like-minded Black people and pro-like-minded Black women and pro-like-minded Black in general. So everything else, you know what I'm saying? And especially on the online community. What I notice about the online community, sometimes in this so-called conscious community, it tends to be all bark and rarely ever bite. So you can say all that you want, but at the same time, you have to really think about this, especially Black women. How do we look going after Gayle King in the defense of people that do not do it for us? And remember, Charles Barkley said that, yes, that allegation. Now, say what you want about Charles Barkley. I don't always agree with him. He has said some very foul things in the past, even if I see his point and somewhat agreed with him. And yeah, he married white. But so look, Kobe didn't marry Black either. So, but anyway, but even Charles Barkley, another basketball, I guess you could say legend, has said that part of Kobe Bryant's history is a part of his history, unfortunately. And I don't see anybody, especially Black women, coming after him. I don't see Snoop Dogg coming after him. I don't see Boosie coming after him, but they have all the smoke for Gayle. So this is why I think Black women, you need to sit this out. Don't say anything. Don't come after Gayle. Just shut up and don't do anything. Just be quiet. Don't say, what about Harvey Weinstein and stuff. I personally feel like every time I hear the whole what about Harvey Weinstein and Charlie Rose and all the other non-Black men who mess up, when it comes to the sexual assault stuff, I personally feel like, yes, true, keep the same energy, but I also feel like it's used as a deflection. Because let's just be honest. Let's say, for instance, these men like R. Kelly were hurting young little black girls. Even Chance the Rapper said it. He is more inclined, or we are more inclined to believe non-black women or lighter skinned, racially ambiguous and mixed women versus these young women. This is why when I see this so-called support for Lisa Leslie, I know it's fake. Because any other day, you wouldn't be posting about her 101 points in a basketball game collectively. But now I'm seeing, oh my God, she scored 101 points in her high school basketball game. Like, where was that ever highlighted? And I get the WNBA is not highlighted like the NBA, but still, where were you collectively promoting that? So no, I am not jumping on the I'm going to get Gayle King bandwagon. I'm not jumping on kale and okra like Ari Lennox, because this is the same woman who was crying. She's all about Shea Butter Baby. I loves my black kings. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not getting that same support back. You were just crying about how you didn't get support from black men. You were also crying about being compared to a Rottweiler. And look at you again, practically being a mule and looking like a pygmisha. You look kind of desperate. I think that it was not her place to talk. I think she should have just stayed out of it. I heard she apologized and deleted that video, but I haven't seen that yet. But anyway, yeah, that's all I have to say on this situation. I definitely did not want to come out and talk about this. I wanted to let it blow over, but it's gotten to the point where I have to talk about it. You can actually check out Chrissy's and Lovely T's videos on it. I will leave those links down in the description. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video. And also, I will be having new stuff coming in. So, like I said, I kind of want to move further away from commentary just a little bit. And I want to bring some new content in. So, thank you so much. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Also, before I forget, I also remember that there was a woman who slipped the N-word live on air when talking about Kobe Bryant. But Snoop Dogg and Boosie and all the other people don't have smoke for that. But they have smoke for Gayle King. So let that sink in. I also want to make another correction in what I said, because I said Boosie, but I meant Ricky Smiley. Ricky Smiley also came after Gayle King. But what I find funny is Ricky Smiley was the same one to blame producers, just like Gayle King shifted the blame to her show. Ricky Smiley was also the same one to blame producers for his reality TV show when his son said that he doesn't like black girls. So let that also sink in.